What up, CAUSENETIC family?
Hey, welcome to the CAUSENETIC podcast.
CAUSENETIC means being a person or thing that gives rise to a phenomenon that is dynamic or energized.
We're tackling topics and telling the truth.
I'm Rodrigo Ross.
Hey, I'm Keith Benson.
So today, we are talking about, did that just happen?
Uh-oh.
This whole idea of awkward situations. Awkward.
Yes.
Because everyone has had an awkward situation. It's just how you navigate those things that are really the game changer, huh?
Exactly. Like, doing a podcast the other week, and this aroma came about in the podcast that opened my nostrils in such a way.
Okay, so here's the thing, listeners. We're doing this podcast. We're in this studio. It's a fairly tight space, and I want to be respectful of my co-host here. So I eat a mint, and the minute we start talking, he goes on like the mint is burning his eyes, it's taking his breath away.
Wintertime, and I was clogged up a little bit, and my goodness, it just opened up, and I was just like, that was very awkward.
Right, because I'm thinking to myself, so, okay, would you rather the alternative? I was eating onions. What do you want? You want the mint? Or you want the onion?
And it's like, how do I handle that situation? Fortunately enough, we work together enough that we can be open and honest.
Really,
because when you have awkward moments, sometimes, it's just like, all right, let me just fall on the sword. Let me be honest with that, right?
Maybe not. Like, some people have physiological reactions to get an awkward moment. Like, have you ever been in an awkward moment with someone and you can like see their ears turning red, they're starting to flush, and it's like creeping up their neck, and then all of a sudden their face is red, and at first you weren't feeling awkward, but now you feel awkward for them feeling awkward.
Yeah. Man, get in those situations where when you forget somebody's name.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Man, I'm a chief and buddy guy. Like, hey chief, hey buddy, and
hey sweet.
Yeah, right. And I got in that situation the other day. Somebody I was supposed to know their name.
Wow.
And I had went around and I was introducing myself to different people, and the lady felt, a little bit out of place. She's like, "What's my name?"
Ooh, she called it out.
She called me out.
What'd you say, Chief?
You know what?
Did you call him Chief?
No, because it was that awkward moment. Like, you know what? I'm sorry. I know I'm supposed to know your name.
But it's escaping me right now.
Yes, ma'am.
You just had to own up to it. So what did she say?
She said, my name is, and you know what?
I bet you won't ever forget it, though.
You got that right. You got that right for sure.
I have these awkward moments, like when particularly now when you're doing all this virtual Zoom stuff and you're trying to present to people or you're trying to talk to people, and sometimes you just misread like cues, or you misread the moment, and you might have tried to bring some levity into the conversation, or if someone's internet is lagging and they're frozen, and you just get that awkward silence.
Yeah, the Zoom.
Or those blank stares, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, Zoom puts your interaction with people a whole lot different.
It's so different.
You say something and
they're looking.
Yeah.
And it could be that they thought it was funny, but maybe there's a delay.
Right.
Exactly. You're at a slower internet speed, or maybe they just they didn't get it.
But
the social cues were not there.
When you get in those situations, that you got to be able to respond in a way that, like, how do I get myself out of this jam? Or sometimes you just got to play along with it.
Sometimes you just got to go with the flow.
But back to the forgetting someone's name, it's like you got to know some hacks in this all too, right?
There's a hack.
Yeah, if you're in a place where maybe you introduce yourself, so maybe you don't introduce you maybe don't ask for the person's name, maybe you ask for the email that like helps you ring a bell a little bit.
No, you can't do that these days, because what if someone has an email that says lover of all things shoes at gmail.com?
Well, then
you still don't know their name.
So here's what I do there is that if I'm introducing myself in a group and I say, hey, here's my phone, can you put your number in and fill out your contact information? And that way I have it there. Matter of fact, I had to do that the other week. I was at a conference.
So what I hear is that you forget names a lot because you are really coming coming up with some tricks on how to get out of that awkward situation.
Hey, but I mean, sometimes you're in a situation you just don't remember everything.
Okay, there are definitely some tried and true responses when you find yourself in an awkward situation. If you find yourself in an awkward situation and you feel like you hurt someone or you hurt someone's feelings, you just gotta make amends, right? Like,
right.
It's uncomfortable. That's probably not your first inclination. You don't really want to, but realizing that you've done something wrong, it's embarrassing, but you just gotta apologize and put it behind you, right? Just move on. The other thing is, don't take yourself so seriously all the time, right? Like, sometimes you just gotta laugh at the fact that it was really awkward. So, like, I don't know, lately, I don't know what is going on with my elbow, my right elbow.
Elbow?
My elbow.
Okay.
It's like every time I move, it makes this ridiculous popping sound, like crack, crack, crack. Like I sound like a box of Rice Krispies. I don't know.
Well, I didn't want to say anything, but now that you mention it,
every time, I don't know what's going on with this elbow. And so I'm in a meeting and I'm trying to sound all, $14 words-ish.
Right.
And I go to make a hand gesture. Crack, 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 crack. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm falling apart. I feel like the Tin Man in front of all these people.
You say that. I'm trying to sneak to the refrigerator, at night. The house is really quiet when everything, TV's off. I'm walking. I'm trying to tiptoe. Crack, crack.
Is that the floor creaking?
Crack, crack, crack. Well.
Oh, no.
It ain't the floor because, we got concrete down. I mean, so just bones just racking up stuff.
Just waking up the whole house.
And my peeps let me know that we heard you last night.
We heard you last night cracking all through the house. You just got to laugh at yourself, right?
Right.
And then the other thing is, once the moment is passed and it's over, just let it go. Don't keep harping on those embarrassing memories.
You get in these tough situations, though, like trying to create small talk. At an event last night.
Small talk. Oh.
And I really just wanted to just eat my food and, and like in peace. And somebody was talking to me and I could tell that they knew me.
Ooh,
and they had on the mask, and so I couldn't really tell who that was. And so I'm trying to have conversation, and it got a little awkward there.
Yeah,
I was trying to play along, and I couldn't ask enough questions to get down to like what was the person's name, so that they could remind.
You didn't really feel motivated to do it anyway, because all you wanted to do was eat.
Well, but I was still talking.
Well, I know you were, because you're the networker extraordinaire.
But it came those times of silence in there, and she was trying to find some words to say, and I was trying to find some words to say.
Don't you just hate that? Like, if you're at an event and you're networking and you're talking, and sometimes you have a really good, quick exchange, and it's organic and it's nice, and then you don't really know when to walk away. Or how to walk away, right? Like, it's like, do I leave now? Oh, yeah, I hate that.
But you got to be prepared for those situations, because many times that as professionals, we're going into different spaces. We're trying to get to know people. Yeah. And it's like, what's your escape plan?
Yeah. The other thing is when you're talking with someone and then someone else kind of comes by and maybe says hi or waves or taps you or something, and you just quick fast, maybe acknowledge them, and then you find yourself in a whole other conversation and you're like, oh crap, I totally stopped talking to the other person that I was talking to, and you didn't mean to.
Right.
You might have meant to say something like one or two words, and then, that's happened to me, and then I would look back to to talk to the person I was originally talking to, and they might have walked away, or now they're talking to someone, and I'm like, and in those situations, there have been times when I've had to apologize. I've had to just kind of tap the person and say, you know what, I apologize. I did not mean to derail our conversation. I just needed to get that in and then fully focus on them. Sometimes you just, you got to take that on the chin.
But then those uncomfortable, awkward moments where you have to confront a coworker. There's something that they may have said something in the meeting that you didn't agree with, and, the response back may sounded a little bit sharp, and it's like, how do you deal with that type of confrontation with a coworker?
Yeah. It is awkward. That is awkward.
And you can't allow that stuff to be, you can't be passive about it.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Because as you're being passive about that, something else is going to come up.
Yeah.
And that something else ain't going to be a result of for what they said. It's really as a result of, what was said back here. And nobody ever dealt with it.
Yeah. But you also can't, if it's something that really triggered you, you can't just jump into that conversation in a moment while your emotions are on 100. Like, you got to find that sweet spot. But it doesn't matter when you do it. It's going to be awkward. And some things, it just comes with the territory, right? Like, there are some roles, there are some spaces that you get into, there are some, as you're progressing and you're moving up and you're getting higher in your career, the chances or the responsibility you have to have these more awkward conversations, they sometimes increase. Like, I can imagine that our COO probably has way more awkward conversations now than he did when he was just, a program director years and years and years ago.
But the thing is that when you get in that COO spot or vice president roles like you and I are in, you have people want to reach out to you. They feel that we have some level of knowledge or something that, and I'm like, I've been around for a little bit, but I probably just know about much as
much as you. Or when they ask you and you really want to give them like this really blanket answer, but something in your spirit is saying, go on, tell the truth. Go on, tell the truth. I had that happen to me, with a coworker. Bless his heart, he meant well, but he was really, talking about aspirationally what he wanted to do, and he had this plan and in his mind, and from the experiences that he had so far, it really felt like a fully baked plan. But in the grand scheme of things, it was not a good plan. And so I could have been like, and I definitely wanted to give them the accolades for thinking that way, right? I don't want to squash your creativity. I don't want you to think that you got to always run something up a chain. Like, I want you to continue to be innovative. But there's sometimes that you just got to do a little bit more homework to understand the full landscape before you try to put plans out there, because it's going to do one or two things. You're going to do your homework, you're going to come up with this innovative approach, and it's going to do what you want it to do. It's going to propel you. Or you're going to put this half-baked thing out into the air, and people are really going to, connect you with that, and it's going to limit you, right? It's going to validate a limiting belief that someone may have had about you. And so it was awkward. I really didn't want to tell him, but you asked.
Yeah. Once you ask,
Hey, once you ask, or evals when someone's, I'm gonna send you this link. We're just doing a survey. We want your feedback. You be like, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I'll be honest with you. I ain't the one you really want to send that survey.
Well, I know.
You want to make sure if you want the truth, send me the survey.
You know what? I have learned a long time ago not to ask you for feedback that I don't really want to hear.
Yeah.
Don't ask Keith.
Yeah.
And I think it hit different because I already know it's true. I was like, oh, get on my nerves because I knew, yikes, but then I want to be mad with you.
What about those taboo topics of like religion and politics?
Oh, that is
like
awkward.
Those, because right now we're in this era right now where that's a little tension around those things right there.
And one side of me really does advocate that it shouldn't be taboo, right? Like, people are layered and they have different perspectives, and that's how you get to know and everyone, as long as they're not rude and disrespectful, everyone is entitled, right?
You gotta be, handling with courtesy, right?
But that is true. Like, when someone offers up a perspective and you're like, I didn't even think that person thought that. Like, oh,
I'm like this when it comes to topics like religion and politics. We're two adults.
Let's talk about it.
So why would we need to fight over you have a belief this way, I have a belief this way? Why are we?
Yeah, it's fine.
Because at the end of the day, on that right there, you got your opinion, I got mine.
fine.
Yeah, I mean,
it's fine. And in some instances, God forbid, you actually make a fairly decent point that make me think about something, right?
Now I got to go do some more research on, maybe where I stand at on that right there.
Like, you know what?
Offer a different perspective.
I didn't know that before. That's a very good point. That's salient. But, the other thing with awkward moments is sometimes you notice it and it is just really glaring thing, but other people didn't even register.
Right.
Like, they didn't even notice it. They just, my elbow creaking, I wanted to just fold up and die, but other people probably thought it was a chair or, I don't know, just some random noise. They didn't know it was me breaking down.
Well,
Don't you say it.
Those who are in the same age bracket, they understand.
The 29 age bracket? That age bracket?
29 times 2.
See, that was awkward. It was
how
not
was that?
29 times 2. Awkward.
Yeah, that's awkward.
But, just don't get in your head, right? Don't build it up in your head to be this whole motion picture moment disaster when 9 times out of 10 other people probably didn't even realize it happened.
Here's what's awkward. When my mom passed, everybody want to come and say, sorry to hear about your loss. And then it's like, all right, what do we talk about after that?
Oh, what are you supposed to say, right?
And
you're supposed to say, I'm sorry that you sorry? That's good.
Right, yeah. It's like, that's a
That
hard,
is awkward.
When someone's dealing with grief, you really want to help them, but it's like, what is it really that you can do?
Really
what is that can you say? I mean,
that
because,
is awkward.
What I want is my mom to come back.
Right.
So
can you do that? Okay, well, that's
right.
the end of that conversation.
Right. Okay. So.
Well, I'm really sorry for your loss. And,
don't want to make light of it for those who are listening, but, it's like it is
kind of awkward. It is kind of awkward. You know what else is awkward?
What's that?
So, had a colleague, and while this colleague was absolutely true in what they said, the way they said it and in the context, it was very awkward. So, we were having this large group discussion about what are some of the activities that you can do to really serve your active older adult population. And this colleague said, well, perhaps you should have funeral homes and estate planning people come talk to them because all roads lead to death. What? Said colleague.
Speaking right now.
Is speaking. And while that is very true, at that moment, we were like, what? All roads?
And I'm coming from the perspective of being in a YMCA that has a large population of active older adults.
Where all their roads lead to death?
Well, name. Well, in my mind, only one person that's defeated death.
Well,
that's what I know.
See,
it's so.
Therein lies the truth.
There you go. Yeah.
But it was still very awkward.
It was very awkward in our conversation.
It was.
But
I was like,
we have to find a way
but
to be able to deal with all this. The things they actually enjoy when people come in and talk about estate planning, preparing for that.
Because all roads.
Afterlife situations.
Let's say that then. Let's say afterlife preparation. Not all roads lead to death. But I know what you meant. So you get an A for effort.
So we're talking about, did that just happen? We're talking about awkward situations, CAUSENETIC family. What is it that, how do you see awkward situations? How do you handle awkward situations?
Yeah.
And they come in all shapes, sizes, and form, right? We run them to them probably every day. Right now, you hear my deepness of my voice right now. It's a little froggy right now.
Sounds like he ate a box of frogs.
Yeah, and so it's very awkward for me to be able to talk and do this podcast
I'm fine,
right now.
Though. I feel great.
Yes, as my colleague here just rubs it all in.
Fine.
So, hey, CAUSENETIC family, we appreciate you guys listening to the CAUSENETIC podcast week after week.
And thank you for, on this episode where I just showed what it was like.
Did that just happen? Yes, that awkward situation of this episode
just happened.
Hey, but would you
episode?
But would you subscribe and listen to us weekly?
And don't be shy. Give us a 5-star review.
And as always,
be dynamic.
be phenomenal.
Be causenetic.